Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Sound and Music Digital Dance Time New Music Labs. My name is Prince, and I'm a member of Sound and Music Youth Advisory Group, New Voices. For some of you who don't know, Sound and Music is a national organization that supports the creation and enjoyment of new music. In 2021, following from the first ever series of masterclasses in 2020, New Music Labs are a new series of 3 virtual labs with a twist. Each of these interactive lab sessions have been created with and will be delivered by one of us, the Youth Advisory Group. We have brought together some of the most exciting professional composers, music creators, and producers to share their experiences and expertise in order to inspire as many young people like us, aged from 13 to 19, to enjoy making new music, whatever stage they might be at. Those who might already be creating their own music, those who want to explore something new, or those who may have never tried. New Music Lab aims to provide all these things and introduce you to a creative, interesting expert who will give you a taste of how they approach creating music. I am really excited that Kate Whitley and Yuri is joining me today. We have all been working on a musical, The Endz, which will be performed in public on Friday the 23rd of July at Multi-Story in Peckham, which is in London, which you can still order your tickets to see. Today, we're going to talk about the creative process behind The Endz in the format of a Q&A, and Kate will elaborate on the process of gathering ideas from young people, inspiring them to compose and workshopping lyrics, and offering a behind-the-scene look at this topical musical drama. I'm sure you will know the work of Kate Whitley, but in case you don't, then Kate is a composer and a pianist. She runs the multi-story orchestra, which performs in car parks around the UK. She writes musical orchestras, choir, and instrumentalists, and her work has been performed by orchestras around the world. In 2018, she wrote Sky Dances for the London Symphony Orchestra, which was performed by an orchestra of over 100 in Trafalgar Square, which was conducted by Sir Simon Rattle. And since then, she received numerous awards and fellowship, which you can find out more on her website. At the end, there'll be an opportunity to ask any questions you may have. And now I would like to also introduce you to Judith Robertson from the education team at Sound and Music, who is also joining our session and will be helping with the Q&A. But before we get started, here are a few housekeeping rules. The Q&A function will be available throughout, so you can post your questions to the artist. And if you have any unstable connection, you might find it helpful and improve if you switch off your video in Zoom and just listen to the audio. But that's enough for me. I'm delighted now to start the conversation with a video clip from the rehearsal.
And so now Prince is going to explain a little bit about the Endz, and he's going to explain how he's been from there from the start.
Hi there. So my name is Prince, and I'm here to introduce about the musical The Ends. So the musical started about 2 to 3 years ago, and it all started in my music lesson, which Yue was also in, and we decided to take inspiration from Savage story and create a musical to explore the ideas of gang violence. But we also wanted to show what leads towards gang violence. So our musical The Ends, without giving too much away, it's about two characters who were best of friends when they were very young, but due to family situation, one of them was able to go towards a successful life path, but the other person went towards more gang violence. So because of that, our musical is just telling a story of these two characters and how gang violence have affected both of their lives. So my involvement in this musical was to compose some of the music and also to play the cajon, which is like a type of drum, in the musical. I would like to also hand over to Yuri to introduce himself and his participation in the musical.
Hello, my name is Yuri. I play the flute and piano, and my involvement in the musical was to play the flute and also partly help with the composition in the musical.
Is it me now? Thank you. I'm Kate, and I was lucky enough to be asked by these guys and their amazing classmates as well to come and be part of the Endz. And I first saw it. So Prince said that it was actually made, was it like 2 years ago, Prince?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it feels like such a long time. Yeah, like that was when it first started, and you did it in the Christmas concert, and I really remember coming to see it in the Christmas concert, and it was like this thing that you'd all just made suddenly out of nowhere. There was all this music and this story and this whole thing that suddenly existed. Yeah, and you were like, can Multistory get involved in this? Multistory's worked with their school for years. We do concerts in the car park in Peckham, and we do projects every year where young people come and sing and play with the orchestra. So we sort of knew each other for doing that over the last few years. But this was totally different, because instead of us as the orchestra coming in and saying we're going to do this Beethoven piece or whatever, this was a thing that you had completely made and came to us and said, can we do it together? So that was when I first got involved. And it was, so we started with that initial, I think it was like 10 minutes, the first thing, and there was a couple of songs. There's actually one song that was in that original show, you know, Forever G's. So Forever G's is like the first big happy number about the friendship between the two main characters. And that song, you guys basically wrote, I think I wasn't involved in that at all. I think that song basically existed. It's such a good song, that's great. And it's really amazing to see the transition. So we worked on that. We wrote like 4 other songs. We brought in professional players to help with it. We all like worked collaboratively together to make the whole thing. And in every rehearsal, when we're playing One Bit of the Music, I remember back like, oh, a year ago when we were workshopping this, I remember exactly the moment that this person came up with this piano note, or this person added this. And it's been such a cool process of everyone being involved in creating the thing as a whole. And also because it's happened over a long time, it feels like it exists separate from any of us. It's like this thing that we're all involved in making together. So it's been a really great process. We were going to share a little clip, which actually is a really good example of how this sort of thing works. Should I just explain it, and then Judith, you're able to play it after that? So yeah, we just thought we'd pick out this one bit of it because it's a really beautiful bit of the piece. It's one of my favourite bits, but I really remember it because So Alexa, who was playing piano in this, she came up with these like really nice juicy chords, and she was just like fiddling around on the piano having a go, like she came up with this really nice thing. And then Euro played this beautiful flute line over the top that sticks out like bam bam. It's really lovely, like little rhythmic line that loops over the top, and we put those two things together, and I added then a bass line, like a falling bass line that just loops do, 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 like that, and then the choir came up with a melody to sing over the top, and Prince added a beautiful beat as always. And it was just such a good example of how all those different people added their bit, and it came together into this set of layers all working at the same time. So yeah, if we could just play that clip, that would be amazing. Cool, it's so nice. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense, and it's something that, like, actually some of those little musical ideas I've taken in other pieces that I've written. I shouldn't say that. I've like stolen your ideas, guys. there's such beautiful things, and I feel like that way of everyone's voice being part of it. Like sometimes it's hard to manage because you've got a million people in the room with different opinions. Like we had a bit in the rehearsal the other day where we were deciding whether someone's rap was going to be over 8 bars or 4 bars and exactly where it was going to come in the song. And we probably spent at least 10 minutes discussing this. Do you guys remember this the other day? And eventually we had to do a vote. Like, it was so ridiculous, took ages. But it was so cool because it meant that everyone's opinion on that, what could be heard, like that can be difficult to manage, and you've got to make sure people don't ever feel cut out or stuff has been ignored. And I'm sure we all get it wrong some of the time, like it can never be totally perfect, but it feels like it is possible to create an environment where anyone can put their hand up and contribute something, and all of that can become part of the piece. And I think that it just creates something better as a result because everyone's voice is part of it, and it's so much more fun to play as well than just like getting an existing piece of sheet music and reading the instructions and playing what's there, but actually thinking creatively about what music you want to make and why as well. That's another really big thing about this project. It's not just a piece of music, it's a piece of music with a real message and a real reason for making it. And I have so much respect for you guys for having, I would never have done something like that at your age. It's incredible. Do you want to move on to the Q&A?
Thank you, Kate. So the first question of the Q&A is that this project have gone on for so long. So how did that impact the development and the creative process of the musical?
So I think it was really helpful in a lot of ways because it gave a bit of time for us all to get used to working like this. I feel like I got loads better at it, having a bit of time away from it and coming back to it afresh. I think also you guys are all older and that's kind of helped. How does it feel from your point of view? Like, do you feel like different people than you did 2 years ago when you first made this?
I wouldn't necessarily say different people because this musical that is exploring the idea of gang violence has always been with us since before we created it. So I feel like this musical has just helped us to just put out voices to just put out our voices a lot more. So I wouldn't necessarily say different people, but it had developed us a lot more.
Yuri, were you going to say something?
Oh, yeah, I would agree with Prince. I think it hasn't. I don't think I'm a different person, but I do think that doing this musical has changed me because I've learned a lot from it and what actually happens in the process.
I would totally agree. It's changed me as well, for sure. Next question.
Oh, from the Q&A. Okay, how does the creative process work when there's so many people involved?
Yeah, I guess we've touched on that a bit, haven't we? It's so it's great, but it can be messy. It can be hard work, and it's also I think you sort of need someone to manage it. So you need someone generally, especially with the choir. So if we're writing a melody line, if we're writing a song, because you all have to agree on one melody and that's going to be one idea, it's generally one person at the front saying like, okay, let's come up with the words, ask for ideas from the room, everyone chips in ideas, we put them on the board, we ask everyone, what do you think of this line, what about this suggestion, are we going to change any of this, would this go together, what do we think about this so far, try it back, everyone sings it together. So it's like just getting ideas from everyone in the room, trying to reach a consensus on which ones we're going to go with and then fitting that together. There's loads of initial gathering of ideas from everyone and then chatting as a group about what are we going to consolidate, what we're going to decide to go with. It's a bit different with instrumentalists because you can all play your own parts. I've hardly done any projects like that actually when you have all instrumentalists being involved in making it together. This was one of the first things like that I'd done, and I remember when we started I was like, God, this is so scary, like how is it going to work? But it's great because it means you can have one person playing one bit and then someone else can just add something and make it up themselves, so they have total freedom to do that, and then you can chat about like, oh, I think this doesn't quite work, could you do this here, could you do this here? So it's so two different ways of doing it, either like everyone as a group together chatting about the words, the melody and how it's going to be, or everyone coming up with musical ideas that you then fit together. So do you guys want to say anything about that process as well?
Yes, I would certainly agree that it can be very messy. But if working in a group and composing the music works really well, you really execute it well, it could turn out to be a very beautiful thing. So it would turn out to like the musical that we're going to perform on Friday was wonderful.
Yeah, I totally agree. It can make it so much more beautiful a thing than something that's just made by one person, because it's everyone's. That was so well put. Prince, did you want to say something about that, or is it?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I also find it nice because it's allowed all our voices to be heard and all our ideas being put together into one piece. I feel like the creative process behind working with a lot of people is like really great because it's not only your kind of style and your way of composing is everyone else's, and just we're all contributing into it, it really allows us to like not just create a nice piece, but also strengthens the bond between us as people, us as composers and people that are working together. So yeah.
Yeah, completely. It's about more than just making the music. It's about like the relationship between us and how we work together. There's like a whole other value in that. I completely agree. And actually that's one of the things that, because we've had professional, so these two are playing in the band, Angel's playing a bit of piano as well, but apart from that, the rest of the band are all professional musicians. We've got like 10 professional musicians. And yeah, yesterday the cellist, after we did a dress rehearsal yesterday, she was saying to me, she said she's just been feeling so happy all week. And it's because she's been doing this, and she feels so inspired by getting to play with you guys and seeing the way that you work together. She said that she feels like that's really like given her a reason to make music, and it feels like it's about something bigger than her, which is really nice. What's your next question?
So the next question is that, how does the atmosphere or the feeling of the musical reflect on you?
The musical is really, really moving. It's about something so important, and also the way that you guys have brought it together and told it is so honest. But I always find that really moving. And yeah, there were so many moments when we ran it through yesterday where I had to like try not to cry during it. it's really so, I find that so moving. And yeah, I think that is so much a result of it being something that you really wanted to make, and a story that you really wanted to tell. Like that really shines through in the music, that there's so much sort of meaning behind it. Do you guys want to answer that as well? How does it reflect on you? You're not. You're both thinking. You're like, No, don't worry. It's a hard question. It's a hard question. I shouldn't have asked you back your own question. What's your next one?
Oh, so the next one is what came through your head when you thought of putting musicals in the car park?
Great question. I get asked this a lot. So I grew up like you guys, I'm sure lots of people listening as well, I learned piano when I was little. I did like classical piano, and I did, you know, when you'd have to do if you've done them, like music exams, like a BRSM or Trinity, those exams, and you like learn your piece, and then you have to go to some really like scary concert hall, and there's some people sat on a desk and they're putting a cross if you play a wrong note, or a tick if you play it right. And I grew up like learning piano like that, and I hated that. I loved playing the piano, but I hated doing the exams. It felt like it wasn't really about music. It was about being judged, someone coming to tell you had you done it right or wrong, and that didn't feel to me like that's what music should be about. And then when I got older and I was like doing concerts and stuff, the concerts felt a bit like that too, the sort of really formal classical concerts where you go to a big fancy concert hall and everyone's in smart clothes, everyone sits silently and looks very serious. It felt like not a nice, friendly, and I don't know, like not a communicative place to make music. It didn't feel like we were all making and sharing music. It felt like we were coming to do a very serious thing, and sort of it felt like an exam. It felt like, were you going to play the right notes in the right order, and was it going to be a bit out of tune, and you'd get told off for that. It didn't feel welcoming, and I didn't really enjoy it. So I thought, was it possible to play music in other places and create a different sort of atmosphere so that it didn't feel like that? Because I really liked classical music and I loved playing the piano, but I didn't want to do it in like concert halls. So I tried doing it in lots of different places. I think I first started doing this when I was like 20. And we'd go and play in pubs. We'd like take a string quartet and go and play in the pub down the road. We did it in nightclubs, in warehouses, did a really great show in a museum once. That was really fun. We just tried loads of different things of like taking a piece or creating a piece and finding a cool place to go and play it and just see what that atmosphere was like. And some of them were completely disastrous, but some of them were great. And car parks was just a random suggestion. I was chatting to a friend about it and saying, what sort of spaces could you do music in? And my friend was like, have you thought about car parks? And I was like, yeah, that is a good idea actually, because they multi-story car parks are covered, so they've got a roof, they've got decent sound, the acoustics all right. Then they're huge and they're empty, so you can put in an orchestra and you can put in chairs around it and you can set it up however you like. And it just means that you can make a space and an atmosphere that feels completely different from somewhere that's set up as a performance venue. It's like freedom to set it up however you want. And it does, I think it does feel completely different to play in a place like that, especially when the audience, because we in the car park, we have had audiences of like hundreds of people like packed around the orchestra, and it's really exciting when the audience is that close and the audience like cheer in a way that you don't get in a concert hall. It's like it's this sort of wildness to it that you don't get in other places. So yeah, that was why I started putting on concerts in car parks.
Okay, I do agree with you. I've performed in a various amount of places, like the Royal Academy of Music, Royal Albert Hall, but in a car park, it's just that it has that different atmosphere that you can. The music goes through differently, and it's just it's like an echo. That it makes it beautiful. I like to perform in the car park.
I completely agree. I feel like also the sound, like you say, it's like an echo. I feel like the sound actually behaves differently as well. It sounds different. It's because it's like big and boomy, but also because the sound is bouncing off concrete, not off, I think this is why, not off like wood or something. It has a rawness. My favorite bits are always when we have a rehearsal and there's no audience in, because the sound is much richer then. It gets a bit dry with an audience and you can really feel it physically. It really like feels like you can like feel it in your body. The sound is like sort of gets captured in this concrete space, and it does just sound different from a concert hall.
Yeah, and I also want to add that especially that with what you said about the car park being more free and relaxed, and that with the musical being in the car park, we want the people to like be relaxed and have fun. We also want to spread the important message across. So especially with what you said about the echo, I feel like the fact that we are able to the message of the musical is still being strong inside the car park, that we're able to be free, but also to spread an important and powerful message is like really important and like a good idea to put in the car park.
I completely agree, and like you said, it's not like it's just a funny. It's not just like a funny joke. Like it's nice and relaxed, but it's not like everyone concentrates really seriously. And this has such an important message. I remember because when we get really big audiences in there, they're so noisy when they first come in. Everyone's like blah 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 blah. It's like huge sound. But then when it's time for the concert to start, they suddenly go silent. And I remember someone who came and sang in the choir once said to me, she was like, the audience was so noisy that when they went quiet for us to start singing, it felt like we were going to do something really important. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're in a concert hall, everyone goes quiet by default because they always go quiet. That's how you're meant to behave there. But something about the car park, when everyone goes quiet, it's like, whoa, what's happening? It feels like it's like something special. It's like a really special quietness. And that is exactly what is so great about doing the Endz in that space, is it feels like that message is even more important because you wouldn't expect it to be there. What's your next question?
So the next question is, so what is next regarding your project? So after the musical, is there any projects that you'll probably be doing?
Yeah, so we've not been able to do anything like as much, obviously, because of the pandemic, but we've got 2 more projects this summer. We're doing a piece, I'm hoping both you guys will come and play in this project. I don't know if I've asked you about it yet. I think you know about it. It's in August. We're doing, there's a composer called Julius Eastman. He was an American composer, and he did a lot of music that was improvised. So he had like a group of friends, they all played together, and they'd come up with these pieces that's not all written out, but they would improvise it and make it up together, and there's recordings of what they did. So we're going to make our own version of one of his pieces, so based on his main musical ideas, and it's great, it's really like groovy music, I love it. We're going to take the main ideas from that piece, but we're going to create our own version of it, so we're doing that in August. And then in September we've got one of our big choir performances, which again, I know both of you have sung in these before. This is when it's generally with primary schools, get a choir of like 100 and they come and perform a big piece with the orchestra. Yeah, so that's our summer season, and it's great because this is the first time we've done anything live for 2 years, so it's nice to finally do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Am I meant to ask a question to you now?
Yeah.
Great. We've talked about this bit already, but just what is your experience of writing music? I know that you're both composers in your own right. You write your own music. You're both very good composers, and you obviously do that sort of writing for the instruments you play or other instruments. What is your opinion or experience of writing stuff as a group, either in this project or in other projects? And what's your opinion on doing that? Like, how do you find that, and how do you find the difference between writing something on your own or writing something with other people?
In my opinion, I think writing music by yourself is not hard, but it doesn't have a lot to it. Like it will take like quite a long time. But on the other hand, if you write music as a group, it's gonna be way harder because a lot of people have other opinions. They want to do this, they want to do this. But if you can make it work, the advancement in the music you're composing will fly. It will. It's like yeah. It will just. It's like writing music by yourself, but with other people, and those people are helping you. It's way more faster than composing by yourself, and it's very benefiting if you do it with other people and you do it really well.
I do agree with that, Yuri, especially that when you're composing by yourself, there is like sometimes a limitation because when you're composing by yourself, you only want to write down what you think is right. But then if you're working collaboratively with other people, you'll be sharing lots of ideas, you're giving support, feedbacks, and you might even gain more inspiration because your style might just be one thing, but if you collaborate with someone with a different style, you might be able to combine those styles together and create an even better piece. So I feel like even though working collaboratively is harder, there is a lot more beneficial output from it because not only will you get a piece you enjoy, but like I said before, your relationship with the other composer will strengthen and you're able to like get out of your comfort zone a lot more because you'll be composing in a way that you're not comfortable with in your own style, but with someone else's style, and you need to adapt a bit more. So it's harder, but I do feel like it'll pay off.
Couldn't agree more. It's really, really well put as well. I think that thing about getting out your comfort zone is so true. People always don't want to do that, right? You want to like stay in your safe place, which is completely understandable. But you're totally right that even though it's harder and you have to push out of that comfort zone, the benefit that you can get from that is worth that extra push, that extra risk. Like, yeah, completely agree. Cool. I feel like we've covered the questions I was going to ask you. Did you want to say something, Judith?
I've really enjoyed hearing everything so far, and it's fantastic to hear some music as well. I really enjoyed the video, which I guess was a rehearsal. You all had coats and hats on, so I'm guessing it was a rehearsal that happened much earlier in the year.
It was actually more than a year ago. That clip, it's funny watching it back. Did you guys notice, like, it's so different? Day was so slow doing what we were doing. That was in our rehearsals before the pandemic. So that was, but we were meant to perform the show last spring and we'd got into the rehearsals. So that was a clip from those rehearsals. What are you going to say, Yuri?
I think it was around February of last year. March?
Yeah, that's exactly when it was. Yeah, because it was actually not that long before lockdown started, wasn't it? Yeah, so that it was quite a while ago. So we then, a year after that, had to pick everything back up. Luckily we still had the recordings and scores and stuff. I don't know what we would have done. We were like all trying to remember the songs.
Yeah, and like also because of that, we're able to have a lot more chance to develop what we already had, because we had like that year of lockdown. So once we finally came back, we're able to discuss what needed to be fixed, what needed to be adapted. So I very like watching that recording and noticing how different that was to what we have now kind of just shows how important it is to discuss and also adapt and make changes in your pieces.
Oh, sorry, Kate, you were saying something.
No, I was just agreeing. I didn't really say anything.
Yeah. Would it be okay? I'd be really interested in knowing a bit more about the original idea, because you said, Kate came, you kind of invited Kate into your school because she was already a friend of the school, but you somehow already made this first song and had a sort of plot idea. So was that done in a lesson, or was that done between friends outside of lessons? How did that work?
It was a bit of both actually. So we did some of it during our music lesson, but also provided space outside of school. So after school, we'll come back and work on it a bit more.
Great. So your music teacher was kind of behind you and giving you space and resources to do something that you wanted to do.
Yeah, definitely, because our music teacher also realized the importance of the musical, and since like the musical, it already helping us with our curriculum a bit actually. So because of that, she allowed us to work on it sometimes during lesson, but also outside of it.
Yeah, great. And then we have a question. We've got a couple of questions coming in. So is it okay if I read them out and we'll deal with them one by one? But Aisha has asked a question. Aisha says, thanks to Yere, Prince and Kate for this really interesting conversation. She's got a question first for Kate and then for Yere and Prince. So Kate, first of all, if I didn't misunderstand you, you mentioned that this is the first time you collaborated with young people. How was it to collaborate? What did you feel about the future, and would you like to work with more young people after this?
It's a really good question. So I had done it before, but I'd done projects where we came up with an idea, so we've done quite a lot of projects where, like, for example, we decide to make a piece about climate change, and then we go and work with a group of young people and say, we're going to make a piece about this. What do you guys think it should be in it? And then together we write the words and the music. So I'd done that before, but what I hadn't done before was a project where they came to us, so a group of young people came to us and said, we want to make this is what it's going to be about. So I've done stuff where we've come up with an idea and then said, do you want to be part of it? But that was the other way round. Yeah, and I also hadn't done a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of that sort of working where you're writing songs, you're writing melody lines with a group, but I really hadn't done much where we were working with other instrumental composers like these guys. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Does it, I suppose it's a sort of, would you change, I suppose if this is the first time you've worked in response to young people's ideas, so would you change the way you work in the future as a result?
Yeah, 100%. I really want to find a way to run this sort of project, keep doing it longer term. And I think it could be like a group of young people that came together every year or twice a year or something to do this, and then it could be a totally open question: what do you want to make? We can make anything. What do you want to make? And we will start from that complete blank slate starting point. What it could be, absolutely anything. What will it be?
Great. And then the other second part of the question is to Prince and Yere. How did it feel for you to be collaborating with a professional composer, and also you've had professional musicians in school? And did it sort of demystify what being a professional musician and composer? Does it demystify what that means to you?
No. Wait. Hold on. Working with a professional musicians is an absolutely wonderful thing, because I remember yesterday. Because I remember yesterday, I was playing with the orchestra, and then I had a question about the flute, and I found that the bassoon player also plays the flute. So I said, "Oh, hi, can you help me with something?" And then she helped me, and I've got to be feedback, and I'm working on it now. So it's really great, because I do believe that a lot of professional musicians play a lot of instruments. Well, yeah. If it, of course, there's some musicians that only play one. It doesn't mean that professional musicians need to play a lot of instruments. You can always be professional in one instrument. But that was the case for the professional musician in the Montessori orchestra. I just find it really, really lovely working with professional people.
It was so cute actually, because she was chatting to you for ages. I don't know what you guys were talking about, because I noticed she was saying something to you in the rehearsal, and then in the break, she's for like 10 minutes in the back. She was like, yeah, it was so nice.
What about you, Prince?
It was a bit I was a bit anxious at first, not gonna lie, because I have worked with the Montessori orchestras before, and seeing the professional musician and seeing how well they can play compared to myself, I was like a bit anxious of how I need to make sure I need to be perfect and to not make as much mistakes. But then once I actually starts to be more involved, I realize how that they actually don't prioritize making everything perfect, but they prioritize just having fun and just going along with it. So I feel like me working with professional musicians was like a very good experience for me.
And I wondered about your sort of perceptions of what a composer is. Has that changed now that you've worked and met with Kate? Has your idea of what a composer is changed at all?
Um, Well, yeah, um, yeah. I think it's changed for me because I thought as a composer, as a someone that does it by themselves, and then now that I've done this, um, that I've done that I've done music, that I've done the end with my classmates and Kate, I have a different idea of what a composer is. Like a composer can be a solo composer, it can be a group composer. It's it's been a it's been a revealing story of what the word composer actually means for me.
Yeah, because I think often you think of a composer being, like a person on their own, but it doesn't, like, we can all be composers. Like, it doesn't have to be just one person.
Great. So we seem to have lost Prince. I think he froze, so I guess he's dropped out, and hopefully he'll come back in a minute. I'm wondering if there's any more questions from the Q&A. Oh, one more from Aisha again. So this says, how do you think it would be different if this was a theatre piece as opposed to a musical? What is the music bringing to the overall piece that makes it different?
Do you mean as opposed to something that was like just a story being told, like without the songs, I guess?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the songs are like the most emotional bits. Would you agree, Yuri? Yeah. I feel like they capture like the most important bits of the story where we really want to show how someone's feeling at a certain point or really bring something to life. That I feel like the songs, cool, yeah. That's I feel like those are the bits that really bring out what is behind the story. Obviously you can do all that in a play as well, but the music has a special power to really depict something and really show how someone's feeling and really paint the emotion of a certain scene. I don't know, have you got thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the music does bring a lot of emotion to like the musical we're doing, because if we did the ends without any music, it wouldn't have a lot of emotion. You'll say, oh, okay, but the music brings a huge emotional thrust that it's amazing that oh wow.
And I have to say, just seeing the video and listening to the music, that my spine's tingling already. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to Friday actually and hearing it live. It's going to be amazing. Great. So if we don't have any more questions, maybe we can start wrapping up. I hope Prince might make his way back in. But if he doesn't, shall I sort of take his part of the script, or do you want to do it, Yere? Don't want to put you on the spot unless you're prepared.
I've had a question about Isa, and she said about the flute part that wasn't falling. I can introduce it now if you want me to.
Fantastic. That'd be lovely.
Okay, so
you're just getting your flute ready. And would you like to explain which bit this flute part is from?
So I'm going to do the what fallen. It's in fallen, and what I've thought of, and so I'm going to do it now. So the beginning has this lovely melody. And then as we go on, I think it's the chorus as I start playing D sharps and C sharps in a very syncopated manner to the beat. So first of all, I play a D sharp and a C sharp, but they're both 4 beats. Like then I start playing the high melody in this that syncopated. Then I just switch between octaves, and then later on I play it like this. And then it's really nice when we do it in the actual musical, because the violin also plays in the same octave as me and then goes down an octave. It's just really amazing. And then I have a little solo bit, which is just like me playing the D sharps and C sharps, but even longer. So we'll come like this. So I really liked it. Well, I really like my part. It's a very wonderful part, and when you join it with the orchestra and the choir, it's really beautiful.
I totally agree. I think that's one of my favourite bits in the piece there. And I really remember the first time you played that ba bam bam ba. I was like, so good. Works so well.
Thank you for sharing that. And welcome back. Welcome back, Prince. I think we're just in time to start wrapping up. So if it's okay, Prince, I'm going to hand straight to you.
Okay, sorry, Matt. I had internet problems, but so to wrap this up, thank you so much, Kate and Yuri, for this session and for answering the Q&A, and also thank you everyone for the questions that you have given. We hope you all enjoyed this new music lab as much as I did. Look out for the online poll, which will appear on your screen. You can use it to let us know exactly how much you enjoy it. We would love to know more about what you enjoyed about the session and how our Sound and Music can support young composers and music creators. So we'll be writing to you soon with a short online questionnaire. Please keep out a look for it. It would be great if you could spend 5 minutes completing it so we can have that information. If you would like to find out more about our event, education opportunities and programs, please head over to www.soundandmusic.org. Thank you all again and enjoy the rest of your day.